Good morning, friends. Yesterday I posted a little info picture, or whatever you want to call it, listing supposed superfoods that were loaded with oxalates, which are horribly toxic anti-nutrients. Anthony Chaffee did a talk. You can Google it and watch it on YouTube. It's called "Plants Are Trying to Kill You." And a lot of people laugh at that because they've been eating plants their whole lives and they're still alive. Listen, just because they're trying to kill you doesn't mean that they will kill you. They just don't like being eaten. So the point of it is that plants have defense mechanisms. You know, everybody just thinks plants are out there they're basically there just to be eaten by animals, and you know, and they don't mind it. They're just like, whatever, go ahead and eat my leaves and eat my fruit and dig up my roots and uproot me and kill me, and I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, the deer can run away or impale you with its antlers or kick you in the face with its hooves. You know, cats have claws and teeth, lions, tigers, wolves have claws and teeth. But plants have toxic natural pesticides. And one of the biggest ones is called oxalates. They're in pretty much everything plant-based, but some of them are really loaded with oxalates. Some of the most healthiest foods that you can imagine are really supposedly healthy. That's the whole point of this talk. Are loaded with oxalates. Like spinach is an oxalate bomb. But the worst oxalate load that I've ever seen actually comes from turmeric, which is hilarious because, you know, turmeric is marketed as this wonderful anti-inflammatory, gift from the gods, you know, and it's just not. And people are acting real shocked. They're like, dark chocolate? And I'm like, yeah, dark chocolate's loaded with oxalates. And it really, I mean, it's still, you still get stuck in these paradigms, and it's really difficult to wrap your head around. But they lied about everything, guys. They lied about cholesterol and saturated fat, so it shouldn't really surprise you that they lied about fiber. Fiber is not good for you. You know, you can make the case that fiber isn't necessarily bad for you, but it kind of is. Not the worst thing you can eat, of course, but it ain't good for you. It's indigestible, you know, sawdust, basically. You know, it's pulp that can't be digestive. It irritates your bowels, and it just it soaks up all the water in your intestines, causing you bloat. And you know, the bacteria, the only things that can do anything with it, they release gas that give you, you know, gastrointestinal distress. So they lie about everything. They lie, like, you can literally. I've done 20 years of research into. I've been down every rabbit hole you can think of nutritionally, and there's a lot of them. They'll take you down everywhere, because until you realize that a lot of, probably just about everything in nutritional science is marketing disguised as science. There's really no way for anybody to do an actually scientifically valid nutritional study, because you have to isolate people, you have to control people, and they really don't do this. They just kind of like, you know, they kind of just send out surveys half the time, these epidemiological studies that everybody, you know, like, oh, I eat red meat and I have heart disease, so red meat is associated with heart disease. But you know, the red meat is like lasagna and pizza and Hot Pockets and shit. You know, like, nobody, they've never done a study where they said these, you know, where they know for sure that this person ate nothing but meat, or this person ate nothing but this or nothing but that. So the science is shit. And but most of it, you know, as far as like, you know, talking about saturated fat, cholesterol, fiber, superfoods, and they're all plant-based, of course. The superfoods are all plant-based, right? It's all just marketing disguised as science. And I'm not saying don't eat dark chocolate. I am what you would call a relaxed carnivore. I eat meat, eggs, and butter, and then I add some hot sauce to my meals. It's like the one plant-based thing I eat. Sometimes I add garlic, and I drink coffee. So I'm like a relaxed carnivore. I'm not a strict carnivore. But my wife and I have a little tradition. Once a week, on the weekends, we get a bar of dark chocolate, Lily's chocolate, sweetened with stevia, and we split it. That's like our, I don't even want to call it a guilty pleasure, because it's probably really not that big of a deal. So, I mean, I'm not saying don't eat dark chocolate. I'm not saying don't eat raspberries. You probably want to avoid turmeric. According to Ken Berry, you don't even really digest it. It just ends up in the toilet. You might be able to take a curcumin, which is the active ingredient in turmeric that is supposedly really good for you, like a turmeric, like a curcumin extract from turmeric. I don't know if that's high in oxalates or not. I would look into it. But you know, the thing is, if you eat a species appropriate diet, you don't really need all of these anti-inflammatory, herbs and plant-based remedies and everything for the maladies that are caused by not eating a species appropriate diet. You know what I mean? Like, eating red meat is the most anti-inflammatory thing you can eat. So just eat red meat. Don't eat grains and starchy carbs and sugar and seed oils, and you eliminate probably like 90% of your problems. So anyway, don't act shocked, especially when we're talking about plant-based things. Anything plant-based, don't act shocked when you find out the things they said were good for you are not really particularly that good for you. You know, and I'm not saying don't eat raspberries. Look at it from an ancestral point of view. You're a pre-civilization human out in the wilderness. How much of a certain type of food are you going to be able to find out there? You're going to find raspberries every single day, 365 days of the year, whenever you want them? No, they're available from a very short window of time, and you're competing with all the birds and the squirrels and shit who are also trying to eat them. You're not going to find a lot of raspberries or any kind of berry. You probably won't find any raspberries in the wild, because nothing in the wild exists in nature, really. But if you were to find like a wild dewberry, which is like a blackberry, or some huckleberries, you know, it would be very rare. You would very, very rarely find a beehive with honey in it. And now it's on the shelf, and people are eating it every day. And they're like, no, fructose is good if it comes from honey and fruits, even though it's the same molecule as Coca-Cola. So think of it from an ancestral point of view. Like, you know, I'm not saying don't eat a blueberry or a raspberry, even though they're high in oxalates, but don't eat them all the time, and you won't develop these chronic issues. You know, like I say this all the time, when I went carnivore, it was only supposed to be temporary, because I was in a bodybuilding contest prep, and I had really, really uncomfortable shoulder impingements in both my shoulders, and I had golfer and tennis elbow in both elbows. It was very, very uncomfortable. I was very, very achy and old feeling, and I just attributed it to old age and wear and tear, because I was like 49 at the time. I'm 50 now. So I just attributed it to old age and wear and tear, and it was always going to be there or whatever. And then I went carnivore, and after 2 weeks, the shoulder impingements were gone. And after about probably, 6 to 8 months, I would say, I noticed I didn't have golfer or tennis elbow anymore. So, like Anthony Shafee says, they're trying to kill you, and their effects are not going to, for most people, are not going to be acute. At least not for the vegetables in the grocery store. If you walked out in the nature, again, looking at it from an ancestral point of view, if you walked out in the nature, just about everything in nature will make you violently ill or kill you. That's plant-based. So it's not going to affect you acutely, but over time, you'd start to develop chronic issues because the toxins are cumulative. So for all you doses to poison people, toxins accumulate over time when you eat them all the time. You know, if you don't give your body a chance to detox itself, they accumulate. Like, you know, like seed oils stay in your body for like almost 2 years, I think. Something really terrible. Like they get into your cell membranes. Your body uses that to form the cell membranes, and or something like that. I haven't really looked into it because I just don't eat I don't need to know about it. I know they're bad, and I just don't eat them. I don't need to know exactly what they're doing in my body to know that I could look around and see all the people chugging seed oils and see how grotesquely fat and sick that they are. You know, so the dose is not the poison, and unless you just eat it every once in a while, then you're fine. But if you eat it all the time, then you start developing cumulative toxicity and chronic issues with the oxalates, with the anti-nutrients, leaky gut syndrome. Gluten is a freaking vicious anti-nutrient, and even if you don't have celiac disease, people think that only if you have celiac disease you got to worry about gluten. No, gluten messes everybody up because you're not designed to eat it. You're not a bird. You're a human being, and grains are not what your digestive system is designed to process and derive nutrition from. It's meat, all meat. You know, you don't digest fiber. And again, I'll finish with this: food is not food. Just because spinach has a lot of iron and vitamin A or whatever, it doesn't even have vitamin A. No plants have vitamin A. They have carotenoids, which some people, not everybody, can convert into vitamin A, but it's not vitamin A. It's carotenoids. It's not retinol. But anyway, food is not food. Just because you shove it into your gob and it has nutrients does not mean that you will derive those nutrients from your digestive system if it can't digest it. And the only thing that your body is really designed to really get the nutrients from is the meat and the eggs and the animal products. Far superior to anything plant-based. Even if you could digest it, it would still be far superior. And you can't even digest it. It just ends up in the toilet, and it's a waste of money, and it makes you uncomfortable. And it blocks you from absorbing the nutrients that you can access, not only from the anti-nutrients binding from the nutrients, but the fiber just shoves everything out of your digestive system and into the toilet before your body has a chance to really do everything with it. So anyway, keep that in mind. Don't be shocked when you find out that these plant-based wonder foods are not wonder foods at all. You know, they really want you on a plant-based diet, guys. They really want you to believe that you can eat plants and be just as healthy as you were on eating meat. And I don't know about you, but I've seen a fair share of vegans, and most of them do not look good. Most of them do not look good at all, especially the long-term ones. You know, they'll show you an athlete that's a vegan who has been vegan for like 6 months and he still looks like a beast or something. That ain't because he's vegan. So anyway, just I talked way too freaking long. I wanted to make this under 3 minutes and it's 13. But anyway, just keep that in mind. They lie to you, and if they tell you it's good for you, it's probably not. And if they tell you it's bad for you, it's almost certainly good for you. That's a really good metric to base your lifestyle choices on. It won't be good all the time, but you'll be good. Well, you won't be right all the time, but you'll be right often enough that you'll be doing a lot better than most people without even having to go through the deep dive that I've gone through my entire adult life. Just do the opposite of what they tell you.